Fudou Nomura, a former delinquent who transferred to a new academy after being expelled, was determined to keep his head down and finally live a quiet, lazy life. But Coexistence Magic Academy is anything but normal. The girls walk the halls armed, and the entire campus is ruled by 5 elite enforcers known as the Supreme 5 Swords. Their method for dealing with problem boys is brutally simple: submit, death, or get expelled. At this school, peace isn't an option. The moment begins with Rin confidently striding up the temple steps. As she walks, she begins narrating the 4 beginnings of men: benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom, explaining how fidelity completes them into the 5 Confucian virtues. Waiting inside the temple are 5 formidable women, known as the Supreme 5 Swords, each sworn to protect one of those virtues. Rin gathers them for a single purpose: to discuss the arrival of a new transfer student, Fudou Nomura. Cut to Fudo, walking around when he runs into a group of armed girls. Apparently, he injured over 40 students, yet somehow, he's the one who ended up most banged up. Warabi questions if he's still worth worrying about. But Rin refocuses them and reveals the new guy's name. Enter Kiru, the kind who could tell you to kneel and you'd thank her. She hears the name and warns the girls. She's fought him before. Rimmon, clearly not thrilled, announces that Fudo will be joining her class. She's determined to fix him. Meanwhile, Fudo meets Kusuo, a massive makeup-wearing dude who looks like a Buddha statue. Fudo, surprised by the school's glam, drag-like aesthetic, but tries to play it cool. Kusuo warns him to follow the rules, but Fudo prefers doing things his own way. Back in class, Fudo walks in mid-phone call, only to find Rin and her sword-wielding girl squad waiting for him. Caught off guard, he throws his hands up. Rin says she's here to correct him. That leaves him confused. The students' strange behavior, boys wearing makeup and girls carrying weapons, baffles him. He doesn't even know what the Supreme 5 Swords are until Sasa explains. They're the 5 elite girls who rule the school. Originally an all-girls academy, the school became co-ed, but the girls, fearing the boys, formed a vigilante group and were given permission to arm themselves. These 5 swords now act as guardians, and the school became a rehabilitation center for delinquents, essentially a place where unruly students are twinkified into good boys. Fuduo recalls what the Buddha-looking man told him earlier that morning and realizes he's been placed at the back of the class, likely a warning sign. To survive, he's expected to abandon his pride as a man. He jokes that they already took his upper fangs and now want the lower ones too. Rimmer smirks and says he seems to be getting it, but Fuduo panics, wondering if he's about to be attacked while unarmed. Rimmer assures him that she will handle his correction herself, and sounds like a strict teacher. Ryan questions whether Fuduo believes he could fight back if he had a weapon. When she offers to give him one, he innocently asks for a megaphone to call for help, baffling her. Then she demands to know if he wants to coexist with them or leave the school. Fuduo says the choice is obvious, and Kusuo hopes this will all end peacefully. But suddenly, Fuduo rejects both options. All the girls draw their swords. He declares his right as a Japanese citizen to say no, even if leaving would be easier. Ryan is surprised by his defiance and vows to correct him before the next period. That's when Fuduo reveals his power: teleportation. He appears under Sasa's skirt, then near the classroom window. When Rin accuses him of running away, he insists he'll be back after the first period. Kusuo realizes Fuduo's independent spirit is what landed him here. And in this school, freedom and peace don't coexist. Rin chases after him, and Fuduo is shocked. He asks if it's illegal to leave, and Rin says you need a permit from the 5 Swords to exit school grounds. Meanwhile, Zusa asks Nono to open the window to hear the battle outside. Everyone watches Rin draw her sword to fight Fuduo. Nono rushes to intervene, while Rin realizes Fuduo is surprisingly skilled in combat. Fuduo tries to de-escalate with compliments, praising her muscles. Rin responds with a demonstration of mirrored breathing, a technique from the Kashima Shinden Jika Shinkage school that enhances power through synchronized breathing and movement. Their fight intensifies. Rin slices his shirt, exposing his chest. Fuduo tries a bare-handed attack, but gets cut on the cheek, realizing it's time to reveal his own weapon. From a distance, Warabi watches the fight between Rin and Fuduo with amusement, narrating it to herself. Mary wonders if Kiru will act arrogantly again, since the battle is taking so long. Satori watches the clock. Homeroom ends in 222 seconds. Meanwhile, Fuduo crashes into a tree. Rin warns him he's in a bad position and launches a relentless assault using her breathing technique. If not for his gloves, Fuduo would have been diced like roasted beef. He notices her pattern. She steps back to inhale. He plans to strike then. As she inhales, he ducks, touches her waist, but doesn't attack. Rin mocks him for being lucky enough to touch her and asks if he has any last words. Fuduo smirks and says that while she has a sword, he has a gun, she has no chance. Before Rin can react, Fudo activates his ability through his hand on her waist and hurls her across the ground, stunning the crowd. As she reaches for her sword again, Fudo grabs her hand and says she doesn't need to try anymore. Rin whispers magic bullet, which visibly rattles him. Fudo demands to know where she learned that. Suddenly, Nono appears, hits Fudo on the head with a stick, accidentally causing him to fall lips first onto Rin. They kiss. Fudo blames Nono, while Rin, mortified, almost cries. Regaining composure, Fudo introduces himself as Fudou Nomura. Furious, Rin's mask cracks, and she shivers in rage, sword pointed at him, declaring she'll castrate him. Fudou wonders how correction escalated to castration so fast. Nono is drying her hair in a towel when Mary shows up earlier than expected. Nono asks why she's there so soon, and Mary says she was just passing by. Then Mary brings up Rin, saying she hasn't seen her around. She hints that she knows what happened between Rin and Nomu, how Nomu held Rin down and even kissed her. Mary tells Nono to take good care of Rin from now on because she's going to handle Nomu herself, even though she finds him completely gross. Just then, Choka walks in and tells Mary not to worry because she'll take care of Nomu. Choka proudly says she's the closest to becoming one of the 5 swords and wants to make up for the mess. Nono gets annoyed and snaps at her, calling her Uchoka, which ticks Choka off. Mary stays calm and tells Choka to stop messing around. It's time for their bath, which seems like a big deal for everyone waiting to see it. Meanwhile, the boys are also in the bath. Nomu has a swollen foot, but Kusuo is surprised that he could still use his magic bullet move. Nomu says it's his specialty, and he's trained to do it no matter what position he's in. Then he asks Kusuo how to get permission to leave school grounds. Kusuo explains that he needs stamps from all 5 swords leaders, and Rin is one of them. That surprises Nomu. He realizes he may have messed up big time. Kusuo tells him his current reputation is rock bottom, and he'll need to work hard to change that. Nomu's head starts to hurt, so Kusuo gives him some aspirin. They talk about the school store, which only sells basic stuff. Nomu wants something special, a box of cakes. He clearly has a plan to use them to make things better with someone. The girls are on edge, thinking Nomu might try to kiss them too. Nomu calls Saki by her hair color, purple, and she yells at him not to call her by her undercolor. Then Iwitz shows up and calls him insensitive. She tells him Rin is sick in bed with a fever after everything that happened. Then shockingly, she tells him Rin's undercolor is white. Nomu thanks her and leaves. As he walks with Kusuo, he asks if the girls have to go back to the dorms for lunch. Kusuo says they can eat wherever they want. Then he realizes Nomu is planning something again. Nomu grins and says Kusuo already knows him too well. Back in her room, Rin wakes up from a bad dream. She checks her temperature, still high. She gets angry thinking about Nomu and the kiss, slamming her pillow. But deep down she can't stop thinking about it. It was her first kiss, and she feels embarrassed but also conflicted. She blushes and tells herself he should feel lucky. Then she grabs her sword, puts on her mask, and gets ready to leave her room. Right then, Nomu shows up. He says she looks better than he expected and tells her not to push herself. He gets closer and says she's still burning up. She asks why he's there, and he says he just wanted to check on her after what happened. Alright, here's a casual 500-word summary of everything that went down. So Nomu shows up at the girls' dorm and is immediately impressed by how fancy it looks, like an actual luxury hotel compared to the boys' dump. He hands over some cakes to Rin, who gets super shy and blushy about it. Then Nomu hits her with a smooth line about how he couldn't tell how cute she was yesterday because of the mask. But now he can, and that he's lucky he got to kiss her. Rin nervously responds, and when he asks if she can take off the mask, she totally panics and hides her face. He backs off like a gentleman, says it's her choice. Then Nomu switches gears and asks about that exit permit Rin mentioned before. Rin says it's only for good-behaved students that won't embarrass the academy outside. But Nomu throws a curveball and asks if she wears normal clothes outside school. That flusters her even more, and she ends up giving him the exit pass, pretty much manipulated into it. Just then Nomu enters with food, sees Rin fainted with her shirt popped open and Nomu holding her, and goes full berserk. She traps the dorm like a fortress and chases Nomu, who's yelling it's all a misunderstanding. Choka hears the commotion and decides it's her time to shine. She blocks Namu, introduces herself as a junior 5 Swords member, and Rin's rival. Namu joins her, and they both start attacking Namu, but instead of working together, they're constantly bickering. Namu puts on a glove, says he's babysitting today, and tries to defend himself. The school's watching this fight go down, even Satori, who pretends to hate him but is kinda amused. Nono surprises Nomu with a nasty combo, and Choka hits him with her whip. Their teamwork is a mess though. Nomu disarms Choka by wrapping her whip around Nono's hand, tells them they'd be better fighters if they stopped arguing. Then he counters, and Nono lands on Choka, accidentally exposing some Victoria's secrets. Nono starts crying because she remembers the Rin thing and doesn't want that happening to her. Choka tries to be strong but ends up bawling too. Nomu's just standing there confused, getting cursed out by everyone, even though they literally started it. Back on the rooftop, Satori realizes Nomu used a magic bullet move and now wants revenge for him touching Choka. Nomu, thinking he's done for and lost his chance at the permit, gets a surprise when Rin shows up and still gives it to him. She tells him to enjoy himself, and then she promptly faints again when Niui and Saki come by. Later that night, Choka's in the bath crying to Mary about being a failure. Mary's furious and vows to make Nomu pay big time for touching her precious Choka. The next day, Nomu enters class and finds Rin already there. She acts cold now and pulls out a sword, saying she's been ordered to supervise him. Seeing all that, Nomu is left confused. Choka runs up to the bathroom to deliver a message but barges in on everyone bathing. Embarrassed, she apologizes and slips out. Later, Mary is quietly eating her meat dish when Choka interrupts again. Mary tells her off gently, saying she needs energy for dealing with the transfer student tomorrow. Meanwhile, Rim reassures Nono that she won't let the new guy mess with any of the 5 swords girls. Mary, while slicing her steak, casually says she plans to prey on him, making most guys wonder if it's too late to enroll. Nomu, unfazed as usual, reads a pervy magazine while Kusuo warns him that upsetting one of the 5 sword girls could land him in serious trouble, especially with Mary, who's known for her cruel ways. Kusuo jokes that cruel women are hotter and live longer, citing Queen Elizabeth as proof. Rin, on the other hand, breaks transfer students mentally, cornering them with no escape. Nomu asks if anyone has ever survived the 5 swords torment. Kusuo says yes, there was one, the Empress. In a flashback, she fights the 5 swords, tears Rinen's shirt mid-duel, and leaves her in tears. She's vicious and saw the 5 swords as her equals, worthy of ruling. Her hands, Kusuo says, cut like blades. Nomu suddenly remembers his own past, lying in a pool of blood while someone sips it beside him. That person might have been the Empress. The next morning, Rin shows up yelling outside Nomu's dorm. It's her first day supervising him. Nomu comes out smiling, and Rin tells him they're late, though for him it's actually early. He asks if she's still mad about the Nono and Choka incident, but she brushes it off, claiming she doesn't believe rumors. Despite her strict role, Rin seems to have a soft spot for Nomu. She insists on checking his bag, just to maintain school order of course. Rin tells Nomu to bring a handkerchief, and he complains that she's practically stalking him, joking that she might even follow him to the bathroom. Rin doesn't exactly deny it. Just then, Mary and Choka arrive. Mary explodes, saying supervision isn't enough punishment. She accuses Nomu of barging into the girls' dorm, breaking things, entering the sacred room, harassing Rin, Nono, and Choka, unbuttoning shirts, exposing themselves, tying them up, and even trying to bite them. Nomu looks at Rin in disbelief. The rumors are getting out of hand. Surprisingly, Rin defends him. She tells Kinkajo that Nomu only came to visit her and collect a stamp, and had no ill intent. Nomu is stunned by her support. Rin even offers to take responsibility for disciplining him herself. Mary isn't buying it and blurts out some French. Choka has to remind her to speak Japanese. Mary whips out a translation book and accuses Rin of acting strange ever since Nomu kissed her. Rin, grinding her teeth, tells her to drop the detail spilling. She asks Nomu to leave, but he refuses. He doesn't want to look weak being protected by a girl. Rin insists he stay out of girl talk, which she calls a sacred art. Now it's just Rin and Mary, and things escalate. Rin tells Mary to back off Nomu. Mary claims first come first served and draws her sword. Rin, weakened from illness, hesitates. Mary declares sword fighting the ultimate form of communication, and tells Choka to go cook meat, clearly meaning Nomu. Choka runs off and catches up to Nomu near the school. She cracks her whip at him, but he dodges. Nomu takes off his belt to use it as a weapon, and manages to grab Choka's whip. But in doing so, he accidentally pulls his pants down. Choka faints at the sight, and Nomu, mortified, yanks his pants back up, praying no one saw. Just then, he spots someone at the school gate, the Empress. Her presence shocks him. She looks exactly like Amu, a person from his past, though her voice is deeper. Meanwhile, back at the fight, Rin is collapsed and exhausted. Mary, totally unfazed, walks away, and Rin tries to protest, but Mary doesn't really care about what a man has to say. Back with Nomu, his memories flood in. He recalls Amu inviting him to join HM, surrounded by gangster-like people and bloodied bodies. The Empress before him carries that same terrifying aura. The Empress stops Nomu, saying she's got a few things left to settle. Nomu asks if she remembers him, and why she's now a girl. Her aura feels like that of a ghost. She coldly replies she's not the Amu he knew, though she was always a woman. Nomu, irritated and confused, tries to punch her, but Kikaku suddenly steps in and scolds him for being half naked again. Nomu looks down. Yep, his pants slipped again. Mary quickly covers her eyes with a book, and Choka faints from the sight. When Nomu looks back, the Empress is gone. Mary threatens to slice off his manhood and serve it in a meat dish. Meanwhile, the Empress reflects in the school auditorium, remembering a brutal moment from the past. Nomu used his bullet technique, but Amu countered it and nearly killed him. She recalls almost finishing him off but didn't, wondering why she hesitated. She grabs a nearby Buddha statue and angrily breaks its chest, frustrated with her feelings. Back in the present, Mary is battling Nomu. Unlike Rin, she lands real damage, his hands bleeding, and she's relentless. Her fighting style blends Western and Japanese swordplay, designed to hurt others while keeping her safe. She corners Nomu, saying this is like a Spanish bullfight. He's the filthy bull. Nomu struggles to keep up as he has no real weapon, no protection, and no backup. Rin's lost somewhere else. Mary stabs Nomu's stomach, but he reveals a hidden manga under his shirt, his secret shield. He used it to dodge Rimmer's supervision. Mary mocks him for being unarmed, but Nomu uses the bullet technique and finally takes her down. Mary dramatically says she'd rather die than lose to someone like him. But Nomu, too busy reading the manga, barely notices. Mary, now embarrassed, wonders if he's going to treat her like he did Rimmer's. Maybe worse. But Nomu calmly says he has no interest in her. Offended, Mary demands to know why. Is she not as pretty as Rin? She accuses him of insulting her beauty and even offers her chest to get it over with. Nomu refuses, saying he likes breasts, but not being forced into things. He asks her for the stamp instead. Mary hides the stamp between her breasts, daring him to take it. Nomu hesitates, then steps back. He declares he won't grope anyone, even if they're the one pushing it. Mary, stunned, realizes Nomu's not the kind of guy she assumed. He actually has morals. She admits defeat. Nomu decides to earn the stamp some other way. Just then Rin storms in. She sees Mary's shirt open and Nomu nearby, instantly goes into jealous rage. Even though Nomu didn't touch Mary, Rin hits him a few times with her sword. Mary announces that Nomu passed her test and gives him the stamp. Only 3 more remain before he can leave school. Mary also declares she'll supervise Nomu alongside Rin now, but Rin refuses, jealous and possessive. She says Nomu is hers to handle. Nomu, still bleeding and exhausted, just sits there wondering, how did things even end up like this? Rin and Mary are on the school roof arguing over who should supervise Nomu while he eats lunch nearby. Rin insists it's her job, Mary says it's hers. Exhausted, Nomu asks if they seriously have no other duties as Five Swords members. Rin replies that this is her duty. Mary tells him not to feel bothered by their presence. Nomu says he wouldn't be if they weren't constantly flashing him. Embarrassed, both girls immediately pull down their skirts. Suddenly, Wanabe returns from Hawaii, dressed in flashy vacation clothes, and standing on her pet Cubo. She overhears their rooftop drama. Later, Wanabe calls a Five Swords meeting, excluding Rin and Mary. She's annoyed that things spiraled out of control while she was gone, and doesn't approve of members getting too close to their targets. She proposes including Rin and Mary in the correction process. In front of Satori and Amo, she brings up Princess Tsukuyo's previous involvement and pushes for a vote. Satori doesn't really care, saying senior members' opinions should be decided anyway. She adds she wants to check the correction menu for Rin and Mary herself. Wanabe gets hyped. Meanwhile, a blind girl is stuck in a long cafeteria line for egg bread rolls, looking disappointed she may not get any. In a dark room, Wanabe hands something to 3 regular girls, telling them to prepare for the blood festival. Soon, all students gather in the schoolyard. 2 girls whisper about the situation getting worse. Nomu arrives and sees Masuko, injured and tied to a pillar. Alarmed, he tries to save her, but Rin stops him and Mary warns him something feels off. Just then, laughter echoes from the rooftop. Wanabe appears, holding a mic. She calls Nomu a disruptive ruffian and declares the start of the Festival of Blood. If Nomu passes her challenges, she'll forgive his sins. Nomu asks if she's coming down to fight or if he has to go up. Rin and Mary confront her, suspecting foul play, but Wanabe mocks them and reveals it was all approved by the Five Swords Council. To their shock, Wanabe summons her 3 musketeers from the school pool so fast they're almost invisible. They confront Rin and Mary and show them an official council decision. Rin and Mary are now part of the correction targets too. They've been betrayed. Wanabe accuses them of breaking council rules by getting too close to Nomu. Embarrassed, both girls deny it, insisting Nomu doesn't need harsh correction. Meanwhile, Nomu is just behind them, casually picking his nose, completely unaware of the drama. Ren and Mary shout in unison that they're responsible for supervising him. This quickly turns into another argument between the two. Wanabe, annoyed, yells at them to shut up and officially kicks off the Warabimpics. The brutal festival has begun. Wanabe kicks off the first Warabimpics game, Raging Sumo, and summons a sumo ring. Nomu is impressed, but Rin snaps him out of it, reminding him they're in danger and need to give it their all. Mary warns that if Warabe fights in the final round, they're probably doomed. Curious, Nomu asks what kind of games Wanabe used to play. Rin recalls the worst one, a twisted bucket relay, where a kid had flames on their back while others threw gasoline, and half the school caught fire. The musketeers hand them sumo belts, mawashi, and Nomu immediately starts stripping. Totally chill. Rin and Mary are nervous, but Kohara helps them figure out they can wear the belts over their uniforms. Suddenly, Nono attacks the musketeers with police batons. Kohura stops her, and Choka fights another girl but gets taken down after getting distracted. Mary steps in, holding her sword to Kinu's face, warning her not to try anything. Since the Five-Sword Council's decision is final, Rin and Mary decide to go through with the match. Rin's still bitter and warns Kohura she won't forget what she did to her sister. Nomu shows off his belt-tying skills, and Rin and Mary drag him behind the school to help them tie theirs. Rin freaks out as Nomu tightens the belt through her legs, telling him to take it easy. He says it has to be tight or it'll fall off. Mary's scared watching, and when it's her turn, she begs Rin to do it instead. Rin agrees, saying she shouldn't miss the opportunity. Once suited up, the trio heads to the sumo ring where the fight is being filmed for the whole school to see. Nono and Choka, watching from the nurse's office, cheer them on. Rin and Mary are embarrassed being filmed in their belts. Nono steps up to challenge the musketeers, only to find out he's fighting a bear named Kyobo. He freaks out, thinking this wasn't fair, but Wanabe casually says the bear is gentle, and also part of the musketeers. Rin protests, saying it's against the rules to make a human fight a bear. Wanabe tells them not to stress. If Nomu can beat Kyobo the bear, she'll let all three of them go. Nomu grins, realizing why no one else was wearing a sumo belt. He agrees to fight first, confident since he's never lost a sumo match. Rin teases him, asking if he means nipple sumo, and Mary nervously covers her chest. Wanabe says the match starts when she finishes her coke and throws the bottle down. Once it hits the ground, the fight begins. Nomu, not mentally ready, still charges in and lands a solid hit on Kyobo. A blind girl, somehow able to sense attacks through sound, comments on his moves. Nomu dodges easily and hits Kyobo again, this time with his left arm. Rin is shocked, he can use both hands like a pro. Kyobo gets mad and tries to attack, but Nomu is too quick. He kicks the bear, then lifts him up by the back of his belt. Everyone's shocked. Nomu dominates the whole match. Then with a smirk he asks the musketeers if they tied Kyobo's belt properly. Kyobo says, "What's the problem?" Nomu thanks her because the belt had come undone. Kyobo gets embarrassed and covers himself. Nomu declares that Kyobo lost since his belt came off, which is against sumo rules. Rin and Mary finally understand why tying the belt properly matters. Wanabe is furious and collapses in disbelief. She tells her team to gather in the Red Tower. The blood festival is over, and now it's war. She refuses to let them walk away after such humiliation. Meanwhile, Rin, Mary, and Nomu make their escape, lucky and relieved. Turns out Nomu has trained with adults since he was a kid and has never lost a real sumo match. People used to think he meant nipple sumo, but they were wrong. His leg strength is insane, and he can use a move called the magic bullet with both hands. He carefully hit Kyobo's weak spots and basically disabled half of the bear's body. The musketeers and Wanabe lost because they underestimated him. The whole school saw Nomu's impressive win. The blind girl with the sword still seems suspicious. She could sense every move just by sound. But in the end, Nomu's strength and technique won the day. After losing the blood festival, Wanabe is furious. She orders her team to switch to the Red Pepper Tower shift, saying the game's over, now it's war. Kyobo calms down and drops to all fours. Kusuo is still knocked out, hanging from a pillar. Nomu gets serious. He can't stand watching his friends suffer and is determined to help them no matter what. Suddenly, everyone around them disappears, and all the doors lock. It's just Nomu, Rin, and Mary. Wanabe appears in a new outfit, congratulating Nomu on his win, and saying the War Olympics are over after just one match. She promises him a reward at the award ceremony, joking about lingerie and views. She tells him a door will open in 10 minutes, leading to a room where he must go alone. The whole thing will be broadcasted again. Back in the classrooms, students watch their TVs as Rin and Mary's are once again on display. A blind girl scratches a wooden rabbit, sensing trouble. Wanabe announces that the Red Pepper Tower is a fortress battle, each floor guarded by a musketeer and 10 elite fighters. Nomu will have to fight 34 people alone. Kyobo is out of the plan since he already lost. Meanwhile, Rin and Mary take out the girls broadcasting their camera angles. Nomu smirks. 2 enemies down, 32 left. Rin warns him it's obviously a trap. Rin agrees, reminding him that War Olympics are over, and by the Five Swords rules they no longer have to follow Wanabe's orders. Still, Nomu insists on going. He sees it as an invitation from Wanabe, and he also wants to rescue Kusuo. He plans to draw attention by entering the tower, while Rin and Mary save Kusuo, but the girls stop him, reminding him that as his supervisors they're responsible for him too. Since the door hasn't opened yet, they decide to change out of their sumo belts. Mary asks if Nomu plans to fight wearing his. He jokes to himself that girls always take forever to get ready. Wanabe is watching them through hidden cameras, while Rimmer and Mary are changing in a classroom. Nomu knocks after waiting a while. Frustrated, Rimmer is still trying to untie her belt. Nomu opens the door casually and walks in, only to see Rin and Mary in just their clothes. They freak out and throw whatever they can at him while screaming. As Nomu panics and tries to explain, Nano and Choka surprise Nomu by slapping both his cheeks. He's shocked to see them out of the infirmary. They hesitantly ask for a favor. They need him to pass a message to their mistress. Meanwhile, Wanabe hears that someone cleared the first level. It's Nano and Choka. They decide to handle the early fights to clear the way for her. Rin and Mary get angry when they find out, asking Nomu why he let two injured girls go alone. Nomu defends them, saying they're his underclassmen and they need to trust them. Even though they cause him trouble, he believes in them and says he'll handle the boss himself. Mary says it's impossible, they can't even get inside. Nomu decides to break the door down. Before he can, the door explodes open, and Princess Satori walks out. Rin asks if she's here to help. Satori says she's just in a good mood but doesn't like Warabi abusing the rules. Since the council only approved the War Olympics and not this war, Satori says she's free to act. Nomu notices her fish-like eyes, and she tells him not to misjudge her. She simply hates Warabi. Elsewhere, Misogi and her group rescue Kusuin while Wanabe watches from the rooftop, shocked that they're making a move now. Nomu, Rin and Mary reach the rooftop too. Nomu tells Wanabe he came to give her something. Revenge. Kusuin, now free, is ready to strike back. Wanabe taunts Nomu, assuming Rin and Mary are in love with him. They both deny it and call her an idiot. Nomu challenges Wanabe, saying if he wins, she has to wear a sumo belt on live school broadcast. Rin and Mary draw their swords, ready to protect Nomu. Wanabe summons Kyobo, now in rage mode. The three musketeers return, climbing the stairs. Mary decides to hold them off so Rin and Nomu can deal with Wanabe and Kyobo. Wanabe tells Kyobo not to hold back. Rin mocks her, saying she hides behind a bear too much. She says that if she can't defeat a bear, she's not worthy of the Kashima Shinden school. Nomu puts on his gloves and says he knows the bear's weak points, but Kyobo knocks him out in one hit. Rin scolds him for relying on internet tips, and Wanabe reveals Kyobo's also been trained in boxing. Mary fights off the musketeers. Nomu gets back up, bruised, and fights Kyobo again. Rin charges at Wanabe but gets slashed. Wanabe mocks her, saying she's a fool for attacking directly. She's been on the Five Swords Council for years and is stronger than her pet bear. The blind girl senses what happened. Wanabe used a hidden shuriken and redirected Rin's own force against her. Rin fights back with a kick and says Kashima Shinden has kicking techniques too. Mary defeats all three musketeers but is quickly surrounded again. Nomu, now badly hurt, fires multiple magic bullets more than ever before. He corners Kyobo, but the musketeers regroup and trap Mary again. Nico attacks her with metal scraps, making it nearly impossible to dodge. Ren tells Wanabe she won't let her escape and decides to correct her. Wanabe warns her to check her own condition first. Ren's face is injured and her back is bleeding. She knows she needs to finish this quickly, but Wanabe's skill makes it tough. Wanabe tries to distract her by bringing up the Five Swords purpose, and though Ren knows it's a trick, it still gets to her. Meanwhile, Nomu thanks Rin, and Mary listens in. That lifts Rin's spirit and she refocuses. Her goal is clear: defeat Wanabe. Wanabe orders Kyobo to take out Nomu, but Kyobo doesn't move. The built-up damage from the magic bullet has him frozen. Nomu fakes a move to the stomach. Kyobo lowers his head, and boom, Nomu lands a punch to the face. Wanabe's stunned watching her beast go down. Mary takes out the three musketeers in a tight space, all at once. That distracts Wanabe long enough for Rimmer to strike again and knock her out. The whole thing is broadcast, and even the blind girl can sense Rimmer's victory. She knows Rimmer overcame her fear and used Kashima's hidden technique to survive Wanabe's blade. Nono and Choka show up on the roof, saying they handled their part. Everyone's a little embarrassed when Rin and Mary thank Nomu. They're relieved, but still flustered. Nomu asks Rin to help tie up Wanabe with a sumo belt, but his phrasing makes them think he's being a pervert again. Furious, the girls draw their swords and chase him, yelling that he won't get away with it. They all end up running circles around Kyobo. Wanabe's still conscious but knows it's over. She can't take down Nomu and the others. Nomu's dream of seeing her in a sumo belt dies right there. He had tried so hard, but Rin and Mary weren't having it. They even remembered the pain from when Nomu tied the belt way too tight. He'd seen too much. Despite the Five Swords being forbidden from getting close to targets, Rin and Mary might be catching feelings. The masked girls who saved Kuso are still a mystery, though Wanabe seems to know them. Satori vanished, and no one knows what she really thought of Nomu. As for the blind girl, her instincts are razor sharp. She senses everything even without sight. Kyobo gave Nomu a hard time too. Wanabe had trained the bear in boxing. Its thick skin made the magic bullet less effective, but eventually, Nomu landed enough hits to knock him out cold. Rimuru sits at her study table, quietly staring at her broken mask. She blushes as she remembers Nomu once said it looked cuter that way. Suddenly, Nono appears behind her, startling her. After calming down, Rimmer admits she's thinking of keeping the mask broken, and asks if it's weird. Nono lights up and says it's not weird at all. She actually thinks it suits her better. That gives Rin a boost of confidence, and she decides to keep wearing it. Meanwhile, Mary's getting ready, dressed up and glowing. She asks Choka how she looks, and Choka is completely smitten. She even leans in to smell her, overwhelmed by how amazing she looks. Mary laughs and thanks her, and the two head out together. Rin gets motivated too. They're all preparing to meet Nomu. The sun is out, and things are finally settling after their fight with Wannabe. Nomu becomes a bit of a school legend. Word spreads fast about his fight with the bear, and now a bunch of girls are crushing on him. When Rin and Mary see the sudden attention, they're not thrilled. Mary calls it outrageous, while Rin wonders what's wrong with these girls. Everyone's swooning over Nomu after his back-to-back wins in the Warabimpics, calling him superhuman. Nomu, meanwhile, is getting flustered. Even in class, girls are staring at him while the teacher's at the board. He tries to yawn and Rin elbows him hard, scolding him for not paying attention. Outside, a huge crowd gathers just to catch a glimpse of him. Mary steps up and scares them off, saying she needs to stay on guard. The fangirls trail Nomu everywhere, driving Rin and Mary nuts with their constant squealing. But Rin suddenly pauses. She hears something different in all the noise. Mary asks what's wrong, and Rin says she's not sure yet. Nomu walks by, and Rin snaps, calling him a bastard and asking where he's off to. He casually replies that he's just going to eat, and asks if that's okay. Mary says he can eat, but only if they join him. Nomu sighs. Lunchtime was the only peace he had. Unbeknownst to them, Wannabe is tracking them from the shadows. At lunch, Rin and Mary sit with Nomu, both clearly intense. What started as a motivated day quickly turns into frustration thanks to Nomu's rising popularity. He tells them their serious moods are stressing him out. Rin slams her soda can down, clearly annoyed. Rin calls Nomu an idiot, scolding him about the risk if their glasses stopped working. Mary blames him too, saying it's his fault all the girls want to rush him at once. Nomu sighs, saying maybe it's just his bad luck. Being popular is painful. Then he senses someone watching them. Rin, annoyed, tells him not to let it go to his head, but Nomu jokes that their angry faces aren't exactly cute, which earns him a good beating from the two. After lunch, Nomu walks off, and Rin tells him they'll come drag him back again. She's secretly mad he didn't notice her different uniform, while Mary sulks that he ignored her new perfume. From behind a pillar, Wannabe and Kyobo have been watching everything. Wannabe's shocked by how much Rin and Mary seem to like Nomu, realizing he's not like other delinquents after all. Even Kyobo comments on it. That night, Rimmer is still grumpy at dinner. Mary fumes, calling Nomu hopeless. They both agree they won't let his popularity get to his head. Mary blames Rimmer for giving her stamp to Nomu, but Rimmer claps back, reminding her she did too. Mary claims she had a fever and wasn't thinking straight. Eventually, they agree they might need to correct Nomu again if things get out of hand. Meanwhile, Nomu's relaxing after dinner when he suddenly gets a bad feeling. His friend asks what's wrong, and Nomu senses someone outside the dorm. The next morning, he's already waiting for Rin and Mary with a smile, surprising them. Rin asks what he's up to, and he says he just woke up in a great mood. Then, shockingly, he compliments Rin on her uniform. She blushes, not believing he noticed. Nomu even leans in and comments on Mary's old perfume scent. Both girls are thrown off, and their plan to scold him falls apart. Rin says they'll just handle his inspection later. During that inspection, she finds a photo in his pocket, and her expression shifts. Mary sees it too, and is filled with rage. In the picture, Nomu is in bed with Satori lying on top of him. He's just as stunned he had no idea. Mary draws her sword, announcing she's going to kill him. Nomu bolts running through the school, eventually bumping into Wannabe and Kyobo. Kyobo nearly attacks but then pauses. To Nomu's shock, Wannabe helps him hide. Even more shocking, Kyobo starts licking him and getting all affectionate. Turns out, the bear's female and now has a crush on him too. Wannabe is floored. She could barely tame Kyobo, but Nomu somehow won her over instantly. When she hears the full story, she laughs so hard she cries. Nomu just sighs and tells her it's not that funny. Wannabe thinks Ren and Mary are naive, as she knows Satori would never actually do something like what the photo suggests. She tells Nomu they need to clear things up before Satori pulls off another trick. Nomu recalls the photo lacks any proof of arousal, which hints it was edited. Wannabe tells him to retrieve the original data to clear his name. Nomu decides to sneak into the girls' dorm, even though Wannabe warns him it might end in torture. Still, he crawls through the air vent, but gets caught by Ren and Mary. Furious, they drag him to the torture room, tie him up upside down and rip off his shirt. Nomu and Choka watch nervously as things get intense. But when the shirt tears, they see deep scars on Nomu's back and paws, showing mercy. They decide to continue the correction the next day. After they leave, Wannabe sneaks in and gives Nomu bread. Turns out the scars were fake. It was part of his plan. He still got hurt, but he managed to buy sympathy. Wannabe admits he has a talent for dumb dramatic ideas. She helps him out but tells him not to push himself too far. Nomu insists he can keep going. Kyobo shows up and Wannabe says she'll be their ride. Nomu hesitates, but she warns Kyobo will be upset if he refuses, so he climbs on. The three head to Satori's room to find evidence. They come up empty-handed and leave, but Nomu steps on a trap, much to his annoyance. As someone approaches, Nomu hides behind Kyobo. She turns toward the wall, but in the process, Nomu's hands end up on her chest. She stiffens, then drops to the ground, exposing his face. Wannabe quickly jumps on top of him, his face buried somewhere very uncomfortable, just as a baby bear wanders in. The girls nearby are distracted by the adorable cub and follow it. When they're gone, Nomu asks about the cub, and Wannabe explains it's Kyobo's baby, Domo, born last year. Continuing their search, they head to the girls' bathroom and wardrobe. While Wannabe rummages for clues, she spots Satori's katana, the evidence they need. But just then, Misogi, one of the masked girls, appears and attacks. In the middle of the fight, Satori herself walks out of the bathroom, completely naked and holding her katana. She's surprised to see Wannabe working with Nomu. Cornered and under attack, Nomu and Wannabe brace themselves against Misogi's assault. Satori and Misogi have Nomu and Warabi cornered. Nomu's worried Satori might have figured him out. Satori steps out of the bath, totally naked, covering herself, while Warabi thinks it's weird she brought a katana in with her. He and Nomu notice a small bag hanging from her neck. Staring at it, Nomu suddenly remembers what happened last night. Satori had snuck into his room, took off his clothes and hers, and took photos with him. She admits it casually and even says Misogi helped. Nomu realizes they weren't trying to hurt or trap him. They had no grudge. Satori admits they snuck into his room, got naked, and took pictures while he was asleep. When Misogi started snapping shots, Nomu woke up, so Satori gave him some capsule by mouth to mouth, and he passed back out. She printed a photo and stuffed it into his pocket, knowing Rin and Mary would see it and freak out. The image data is still in her bag, and she tells Nomu he can take it if he wants. Meanwhile, Mary's drinking wine while Choka serves her. Mary's furious at Nomu, still haunted by that photo, convinced he betrayed her. Choka tries to calm her down, saying it's non-alcoholic wine. She says Nomu's always after Mary's body, but Mary knows better. He's had plenty of chances and never took advantage. Her eyes fill with tears as she drowns her regret and anger in wine. She doesn't even know Nomu's already gone. Rim's not doing much better. Nono pours her tea, pretending it's wine. Rin keeps shouting idiot, thinking of Nomu. She wants to confess her feelings, but instead just asks for a refill. Nono thinks it's strange, since it's only tea. When asked about Nomu, Nono says she always thought he was awful for what he did to Rin. That reminds Rin of when Nomu stole her first kiss. She storms off to bed, frustrated. Elsewhere, Kuso finds Nomu's room trashed and picks up a strange card with a weird symbol. Back with Nomu and Satori, he confronts her. He knows she's a fan but can't figure out why she'd go this far. Satori tells Nomu that there is no reason and she just thinks that he is annoying. Warabi comes and tells Satori not to get carried away. Rin is changing her clothes in her room and she gets ready to go to bed. She takes off her mask and starts thinking about it. She wonders why she cried and got emotional. She starts hating Nomu and decides that she won't fall for his tricks ever again. When she remembers that she told Nomu that she was a fool to trust him and emotional, Rin starts beating her head on the wall. She regrets why she had to behave like that in front of him. Nomu gets shocked and thinks that her mistress is out of her mind. Wannabe in the girls' bathroom tells Nomu that she is going to fight the mask girl, and she tells him to fight with Princess Satori. Satori agrees with them and she says that they should fight in the other room. Nomu gets exhausted and he tells her to at least put on some clothes because it is going to be difficult for her to fight like that. Satori tells him that it is exactly what she was planning. She moves her oranges and Nomu is shocked. He covers his pants and tells his magnum to control itself. Satori's figure cannot be ignored and she is going to take full advantage of it. Wannabe asks Nomu if he is going to take it seriously, to which he says that Satori got him at that point. Nomu knows that if he is going to keep his hip back, he is going to be unable to use the magic bullet. Wannabe kicks Nomu and throws him in the sauna so that he can fight Satori. Before closing the door, she warns him that he should not take Satori lightly. After Warabi shuts the door, Nomu is nowhere to be seen, and she's left facing the masked girl, Misogi. Things quickly go south. Her vision blurs and she starts feeling drowsy. Realizing she's been hit by Misogi's drugged weapon, knowing Kyobo won't back her up, Warabi stabs herself to stay awake, and tells Misogi that if Nomu's gone, then Kyobo will feel that too. Meanwhile, in the girls' bath, Nomu is enjoying the warmth when Satori appears. She pretends to talk, but suddenly attacks, landing a blow that sends Nomu flying. She mocks him, giving him the choice to be stabbed or slashed. Nomu blocks her sword with his gloves, but her strength overwhelms him. Even though she's not going all out, he struggles to keep up, until he starts adjusting to her speed. Satori plays around with word games, but Nomu isn't impressed. He pushes her back into the bath, strips down, and tells her to bring it. She's thrown off but furious when he calls her a monster in human skin. Their fight gets more intense, and when Nomu grabs her sword mid-swing, she realizes she's losing focus because of her emotions. Nomu says her human side is surfacing and uses her own strategy against her. He teases her, saying girls only react 2 ways when he gets naked: stare or look away, and she's clearly thrown off. Back with Warabi, she's still fighting Misogi, barely holding on until suddenly the drug's effects wear off. She gets her strength back, overpowers Misogi, and beats her with her own weapon. Misogi, even behind her mask, is terrified of Warabi's reputation. Meanwhile, a blind girl walks through the dorm, casually telling her maid she knows Satori is in the bath. She hears everything happening. Nomu finally defeats Satori, and when she asks if he knows what he's doing, he slaps her. She falls back into the water, flustered. He tells her he's doing it because he doesn't want to leave with regrets. When she asks if he's mad about being framed or his ruined future, Nomu yells he's angry because she made Onigawara cry. That hits Satori hard. She smiles and admits humans really are interesting. Nomu offers her a hand, tells her she's not a monster, just human like the rest of them. She blushes, mutters that she hates him, and drops the bag containing the original data into the water, likely the key to proving Nomu's innocence. Outside, Warabi finishes her fight and is shocked by something unexpected. Kyobo is still asleep, and Warabi won alone. If Satori confesses, Nomu can clear his name, though her true reason for framing him is still unknown. Nomura dreams of a pink-haired girl calling his name and licking him, only to wake up startled. Turns out, it was Kyobo licking him in real life, with Satori watching from above. He's bandaged and lying in the infirmary of the girls' dorm. Embarrassed, he scrambles to cover himself as Satori tells him his clothes are nearby. She adds that the dorm mother ordered him to leave quietly once he woke up. Nomura asks about Warabi and is relieved to hear she's sleeping next to him and doing fine. Flashback to earlier. After their fight, Nomura helps Satori out of the bath. But when footsteps approach, she suddenly pulls him back in and hugs him tightly, pressing against him. Outside, the 3 musketeers find Warabi unconscious and try to unmask her, only for her to react violently, even in her sleep. Maria and Tsukio arrive, assess the situation, and realize Warabi passed out from drug exposure. Maria promises to treat her, and they carry Warabi away. Inside the bath, Satori keeps hiding Nomura from Tsukuo, holding him tight so she won't sense him. Tsukuo mentions finding drugs, says the dorm mother has ordered an investigation. As she leaves, Nomura gasps for air, nearly suffocated by Satori's chest. She warns him not to fight Tsukuo. Her sword skills are even sharper than hers, but Nomura insists on leaving. He tries to walk off but collapses immediately, realizing his body's already at its limit from everything he's endured. Later that night, Rin lies awake, frustrated that she can't stop thinking about Nomura. She sneaks out to check on him, only to bump into Mary. They both awkwardly deny their intentions but end up drinking tea together in the kitchen. Soon Nono and Chuka come looking for them, thinking they've gone to the punishment room. Nono and Chuka keep a close watch. Trapped and frustrated, Rin and Mary pretend they want to keep drinking tea, even though they're full, both quietly determined to see Nomura, neither willing to admit it. Chuka and Nono try to stop them and drag them back to their room, but Onigawara is persistent. Satori arrives and tells them about Nomura, saying that he is in the infirmary. Rin and Mary are relieved, but suddenly they ask her how she knows, to which Satori responds that Nomura attacked her while she was in the bath, and also hit her. Rin and Mary are surprised and can't believe that Nomura went against a member of the 5 Swords. Nomura asks Satori if she carried him to the infirmary through the girls' dorm, and she confirms it. Chuko is also in the infirmary because she is ill, her face red. Maria checks her temperature and finds that she has had a fever ever since she came out of the bath. Nomura wears his uniform and goes outside. Satori shows up at Nomura's door and tells him he has a visitor. It's Rin, alone. Nomura gets nervous when he sees her, but Rin bows deeply and apologizes, offering him a gift as compensation. She opens up about her past, and Nomura is shocked by what she tells him. He turns away, saying what her mother did was cruel, but he also understands that Rin still loves her, even after all of it. He admits he can't relate because he's an orphan, and doesn't even remember his parents. The man who raised him was obsessed with swordsmanship, and pushed him through harsh, unforgiving training. But still, Nomura says he has no regrets. That pain made him who he is. Meanwhile, Mary listens from her bed, on the verge of crying. She tries distracting herself by thinking of happier times with her friends, but nothing helps. Rin starts tearing up, and Nomura notices it. Suddenly Mary storms in, clearly upset. She apologizes for everything she's done to him, and says he has every right to be mad. Then unexpectedly, she drops her clothes and offers her body as payback. Nomura is taken aback and immediately refuses. Later, back at the boys' dorm, Nomiura greets Kusuo, who's annoyed Nomiura didn't show up to class. While reading a book, Kusuo asks if Nomiura has something to say. Nomura bluntly says no, which annoys him more. Kusuo snaps that Nomura takes up too much space and is awful. Nomura casually fires back, saying that someone who drugs his roommate's dinner isn't exactly a great person either, but adds that it was to protect the boys' dorm, so it came from a good place. Kusuo surprisingly tells him he washed his pillow. Nomura grabs it and finds an exit permit hidden inside. He grins, thinking that this school might actually be full of good people after all. Nomu dreams of a past encounter where Amu had him at her mercy. She offered him one last chance to join her, or she'd end him. As she raised her hand for the final strike, Nomu desperately tried to remember if he had any bullets left. Suddenly, his alarm blares. Just a dream, but the memory still lingers. He wonders why it's coming back to him now. Elsewhere, a maid is carrying a tray upstairs. When she peeks into a dark room, she screams, "Empress is missing." A Buddha statue lies on the floor, and a mask sits eerily on the table. She runs off in panic. Meanwhile, the boys are enjoying a relaxing shower when one of them suddenly senses something weird, like they're being watched. The other brushes it off. This isn't a horror movie. But just then, he sees a terrifying shadow outside the window. Two large hooks that connect into a figure with long brown hair and glowing red eyes. The boys scream in fear. Later, Kusuo tells Nomu about the monster in the bathroom. Nomu jokes that the real monsters are the guys wearing girl outfits even during bath time. But Kusuo notices Nomu is unusually grumpy, probably because of that dream about Amo. Nomu just wants to nap, but Rimmer shows up at the dorm, calling his name. With a sigh, Nomu grabs his bag. Kusuo hands him his exit pass, which has only one stamp left. The boys are stunned. He's gotten 4 out of the 5 sword signatures already. Kusuo, looking serious, says getting the last stamp won't be easy. That final one belongs to someone terrifying. Elsewhere, Inaba informs Principal Yukino that the Empress has left her room after acting strange for days. Yukino immediately calls to cancel school, saying even war wouldn't stop classes. But this is different. The Empress leaving is a national issue. Up on the roof, Satori is completely carefree, jumping around while checking her phone, lost in her own little world. The phone displays the picture of her and Nomu, of Satori sitting on top of Nomu from the late-night drug mayhem. It looks like Satori is now horny for Nomu too. Nomu, on the other hand, is acting like a Sigma male, not showing any interest in the hot girls around him. Rin yells at Nomu for being late, and Nomu apologizes, saying that he had been occupied in the morning. Nomu asks about Mary. Rin tells him that Mary is busy as some things have gone missing from the girls' dorm, and everyone is concerned about it. Even Hanasaka's Dumo is missing, but she probably went somewhere to play. Nomu is left confused by all this. Hanasaka is looking for Kubo's secret child. Kubo is the only horny character who was not afraid to execute her desire, but neglected the consequences of the execution, which was Dumo. Everyone in the girls' dorm is looking for Dumo, but there is no trace of her anywhere. Hanasaka is wondering whether Dumo went to school premises. She is worried that if Satori finds Dumo, she will treat her like a stuffed animal, and will not be merciful towards the poor child. Hanasaka tells everyone to expand the search to the school premises to find Dumo so they can find her before Satori does. Everyone disperses to locate her. Mary is running around looking. She spots Rin and Nomu heading towards the building. She asks Nomu for his help, but it is not for Demo, it is for a more serious matter. The Choka kawaii blonde wig is also missing. Nomu is puzzled, and Rin and he are looking at each other with confused looks. Mary tells them that Choka has not left her room since her wig went missing. Nomu was shocked to know that the cute Choka has been wearing a wig all this time. Mama Satori is looking at the peasants from the rooftop. Everyone is occupied by a problem, and she is figuring out if any of them are worthy of her involvement. Misogi, her underling, comes up after looking for Satori. Her legs are trembling, and with a shaking voice she says Satori's name. Inaba is supervising everyone's progress throughout the day from a window. Nono runs up to Inaba. She wanted to inform her about the wig incident, but Inaba had already known. It is pretty hard to miss a detail when there is so much chaos going on and everyone is talking about it. Nono is worried about where the wig is. Inaba is about to offer her help, but before she can, Nono has already disappeared. Poor Inaba is left alone. Hanasaka and the girls gathered up to discuss the progress, but they could not find Dumo anywhere. Hanasaka says that it is maybe somewhere unexpected, as it usually slips. She was talking about Dumo's carefree behavior, so it is not time to give up. Mary misunderstands and thinks that they are talking about Choka's wig. Hanasaka says that it is better not to let anybody find out they lost it, but in any case, Hanasaka says she will cover it up. Mary, with her broken Japanese, misunderstands and thinks Hanasaka will use Choka's wig for herself. Mary is now met with a headache after not understanding most of what Hanasaka said. Mary tells Hanasaka that they need to hurry up so she does not have to cover up anything. Hanasaka is confused as to why she cares about Dumo so much, but she is happy to get any help. They cheer before dispersing. Hanasaka says she is doing this for Kobo. Mary realizes that they are talking about two different things. Hanasaka is shocked that she is looking for the cub, and Mary is concerned about something so unimportant and unnecessary that is not even a living being. Mary says that the wig is also not unnecessary. Choka cannot live without her wig either. Both of them start fighting over the issue. Nomu tries to calm them, and suddenly, he remembers something the boys said this morning, when they described the monster in the bathroom as a big woman's head with long hair. Nomu had finally figured it out. The boys are taking the shower again, as their morning shower was disrupted by the hairy intruder. They try to convince themselves that they only imagined the monster, and there was nothing to be afraid of, so they are casually bathing, facing each other. Suddenly they see the hairy monster again. Nomu enters the bathroom and the boys throw all the shampoos and soaps at him for entering the ladies' shower. They start to toss everything within their reach at Nomu. Nomu gets a hold of one of the items they threw. The item was Dumo wearing a large wig. Nomu is happy to find Dumo. Dumo growls at Nomu. Nomu brings Dumo to Rin and Mary. Nomu walks up to Rin with another girl that Rin seems not to recognize. Nomu refers to the girl as Regina delle Farfalle. The girl has short dark purple hair. The girl tells them to just call her Ubaragasaki. This was Choka's first time coming out without a wig, so Rin did not recognize her at all. Nomu is looking at her with an open mouth. Choka asks about her wig and Nomu tells her that Dumo damaged the wig a bit. Dumo is still trying to reach out to the wig from Rin's arms. Choka starts crying. Rin tells her that there is no time to mourn over the wig as they would be late for school if they did not get ready soon. Nomu informs her that the school is actually closed today. Rin, with a more anxious tone, inquires if anything happened today. Mary tells her that the Empress has gone missing. The Empress was the only female delinquent student who defeated the 5 swords. Rin is alarmed, her voice suddenly goes up, and she asks if Amu is really gone. Nomu is shocked to hear that name. He remembers Kusuo describing the Empress' hands as one with a blade. Nomu is surprised to know that Amu was a woman. He is unable to hide the expression from his face, and his eyes are filled with fright, as from the first encounter, he did not fully believe that the Empress was the Amu who he knew from his past, and the Amu he believed to be a man. Hanasaka is relieved they found Domo before Satori could, but something feels off. Satori wouldn't just let this go without meddling. As she reflects, a girl interrupts, reminding her of Misogi, Satori's right hand. Hanasaka nods grimly. Meanwhile, on a rooftop, Satori stands with Misogi. Misogi trembles, insisting they've done nothing wrong, so there's nothing to fear, right? Satori slaps her and coldly tells her to calm down. Misogi apologizes, anxiety thick in her voice. Suddenly, Amu appears. Her dark presence fills the air. She tells Satori she'd rather be feared than loved, but she sees Satori as both a monster who controls everyone, even forcing them to dye their hair to match hers. Amu holds up a steamy photo of Satori and Nomu. Misogi panics, there was only one copy, but Satori just smiles, eyes gleaming with madness. Though Amo despises Satori's manipulative ways, she can't help but admire her power. But this time, Satori went after someone Amo wanted for herself. Furious, Amo tears the photo and attacks. Misogi shrinks in fear, as Satori only grins wider. From a nearby building, Hanasaka watches the confrontation. A girl tells her the Empress is gone, and trouble is already unfolding. Hanasaka races toward the rooftop with Kalbo, telling the others to stay behind. On the rooftop, Satori grows tired of Amu's moral posturing and starts to leave, but Misogi senses a trap. As Satori walks off, she secretly draws her sword, only to be met with a brutal counterattack. Blood stains her shirt as pearls scatter to the floor. Amu's auto-counter strikes fast and hard. Misogi tries to protect Satori but fails, her blade missing. Satori makes another attempt to strike Amo but is again overwhelmed. Misogi steps in again, only to be stabbed through the stomach. Blood spills from her mouth. Amo tastes it, struck by the similarity. She realizes with twisted delight they're sisters. As Satori watches Misogi bleed, memories flood back, how she always strived to be above others, ruling from on high, but Misogi always chased her, stealing everything, her place, her family's affection, until even their parents couldn't tell them apart. Misogi, through her pain, confesses her love for Satori. And despite everything, Satori can't stop her tears. Amu, unimpressed, unleashes a final blow. Both sisters fall. Hanasaka arrives. Too late. She sees their battered bodies and knows Amu doesn't deserve mercy for what she's done. Hanasaka uses bare sword style with Kyobo and combines 2 powers for a simultaneous slash, but Amu uses Tiger's Claw against them. Even the sword and bear claw are no good against Amu. It is like her body made of steel. Hanasaka is beaten up by Amu, who says that Hanasaka's arrogance is beyond her as her feeble body is no match for her. Kusuo and Nomu are heading toward the dorm. Kusuo is thinking that a lot happened in one day, but it is good that the day is over. Nomu does not answer. His mind is still not settled. Nomu sees a girl who is Inaba, holding a sword. He says to Kusuo that if she has a sword it means that they are members of 5 swords, and he can try to get her to stamp his exit pass. Kusuo warns him that she is the deadliest out of all the 5 swords and the only middle schooler in that group. Even the 5 swords are terrified of her. Nomu is thinking about how hard it can be to get a stamp from a middle schooler lowly. He goes up to her to get his exit stamp. Kusuo warns him again that he will get himself killed, but he does not listen. Nomu reaches Inaba and she swings her sword near his neck. Nomu, feeling confident as always, heads to Inaba to get his exit pass stamped. Kuzo warns him not to go, but Nomu ignores him. He wants that final stamp. As Nomu approaches, Inaba suddenly swings her sword at his neck, but stops just short and puts it back in its scabbard. Nomu, shaken, stumbles back in reverse and falls. He never even saw the sword being drawn or sheathed. Kuzo watches from behind the bushes, too scared to come out. He asks Nomu if he's still alive, and Nomu nods, panting. Inaba cuts off their chat and says bluntly, "You died just now." She warns him that she's only letting him off one last time, as ordered by the headmistress. She explains that Nomu has broken too many rules. First, he entered Rin's room in the girls' dorm, then Satori's room and even the bathing area. On top of that, he ignored her summons. The stripping and kissing could be overlooked, but the rest crossed the line. Inaba says messing with the girls' dorm is unforgivable, as she's responsible for its safety. She seems to deeply care about the dorm's caretaker. Inaba reminds Nomu of a saying, "A Buddha has 3 faces, hers is anger." Nomu, confused, wonders why a middle schooler like her is in charge. Just then a butterfly flies by. Inaba slices it in half with her sword, shocking Nomu. She says the flapping sound bothers her, and she can't tell a butterfly from a moth anyway. Then she drops a bombshell. She's blind. Her hearing makes up for it. The butterfly attack was actually her being merciful, much slower than her earlier strike. Nomu recognizes the styles, Yakumaru Jigen, and Simmering Cloud. He asks if she's from the same sword school. She nods. Kusuo, still hiding, is stunned to learn Nomu knows swords. Nomu says he left that world long ago. Inaba says she still respects his skill, even flawed, it's rare. She believes Nomu never had a proper mentor to guide him. Nomu is curious how she figured out they're from the same school. Inaba explains that every martial art has its own speed and force. The way he uses his fists, despite being against swords, showed her his background. She also says his magic bullet technique, firing power from deep inside the body, is something only advanced students know. Before Nomu can take this in, he hears a loud crash from the rooftop. He asks Inaba if she heard it too. She nods. It's the Empress, Amu. Inaba says she's heard Amu talk about the magic bullet too, and now she knows Nomu and Amu must have a history together. Meanwhile, on the roof, Amu defeats Hanasaka and throws Kyubo to the ground with a brutal combo. Miko, Tuko, and Tanukihara try to help, but Amu is too strong. Back below, Nomu grows more worried. Something is clearly very wrong. Nomu is left speechless by Inaba's sharp deduction. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Tuko and Tanukihara have been badly hurt by Amu. Inaba continues explaining that ever since the Empress, Amu, transferred in, she's only caused trouble. But strangely, Amu always spoke kindly about Nomu. This confuses Inaba, since Nomu and Amu haven't interacted at all since his transfer. Inaba wonders if they were friends in the past. She notes how Nomu has made friends with all the 5 swords girls, Rin and Hanasaka, Mary, and even Satori, who's known to be difficult. Inaba admits that making friends isn't easy for her. Just as she's about to ask Nomu something, he suddenly dashes off toward the rooftop. Kusuo, still hiding in the bushes, calls after Nomu, but Inaba, now angry, threatens Kusuo instead. He panics and runs. Inaba sighs, frustrated. As Nomu rushes up the stairs, he remembers his first meeting with Amu when she told him she was a different person from the Empress. People see. Now hearing that Amu knows about the magic bullet technique, Nomu fears the situation on the rooftop is dangerous. On the rooftop, Amu is about to strike Nico, and Hanasaka begs her to stop. In response, Amu cruelly slashes Hanasaka's eyes. Blood pours down her face. Amu tells her to close her eyes if she can't bear to see what happens next. Her eyes are cold and full of cruelty. Screams echo from the rooftop. Ren and Nono hear them and rush over, joined by Mary and Choka. Amu is thrilled to see more people to fight. Nomu finally arrives. Seeing his friends injured, he clenches his fists in anger. He's reminded of a painful memory caused by Amu and screams her name in fury. He holds the badly injured Hanasaka. She tells him to forget about her and protect the others. Nomu lies and tells her they're safe, making her smile before she passes out. Nomu calls for help, and suddenly Yukino appears beside Inaba. Yukino asks why Inaba looks so upset. Inaba, smiling bitterly, says that when her anger becomes too much, she smiles instead. She also adds that Amu should have some limits. This is going too far. Amu had disguised herself as Yukino to trick Inaba, but Inaba saw through it. The real Yukino examines Hanasaka's injuries and says her eyes can be saved with surgery. Nomu offers to help, but Yukino tells him to focus on the battle outside while she takes care of the wounded. Meanwhile, Rin and Mary strike Amo together with their swords, but their attacks do nothing. Amo knocks them down with ease. She mocks them, saying they still aren't worth her effort. But she admits their teamwork has improved, and wonders if it's because of Nomu. Rin brushes it off. Amu compares herself to the Nemean lion, powerful and untouchable. She says her style, Takamikazuchi, turns her entire body into a weapon. Rin realizes Amu doesn't even need a sword. Her hands and feet are blades. Amu targets Nono and Choka next. Rin and Mary shout for them to run, but they refuse to leave their mentors. Suddenly, Inaba appears and asks Nono if she considers her a friend. Nervously, Nono says yes. Inaba then says no one will harm her friends. Amu is surprised by Inaba's entrance. Inaba suspects meeting Nomu is changing her. Amu laughs, saying she didn't plan to fight Inaba yet, but she's happy to start now. The two prepare to face off. Inaba says hand-to-hand combat can't match sword speed. She explains that Amu uses auto counters from Uchi Karate, where the body is trained to become like steel through repeated hits. They start fighting. Inaba uses her shimmering cloud move and lands 3 slashes on Amu, making her spit blood. Everyone is shocked. No one has ever heard Amu before. But Amu grabs and breaks Inaba's sword. Amu mocks her, saying a zinc alloy blade is a toy. Without a sword, Inaba is at a disadvantage. Amu prepares to strike again. Inaba tries to fight back, but is too weak. Just then, Nomu jumps in and pushes her aside. He stands between Inaba and Amu. Amu, now darker and colder than ever, is ready to take him on. Tureo, Rin, Mary and Amu are all standing around as the wind picks up. It's tense, and Amu is facing off with Tureo. The temperature suddenly drops, making everything feel even heavier. Rin watches and thinks that if someone like Satori is already scary, then Amu and Tureo are on a whole different level, like a demon and a beast. Seltu doesn't wait. She slashes Amu 3 times with her sword, and Amu coughs up blood. Everyone's shocked. Selp actually landed hits on Amu, but because of Amu's auto counter ability, Seltu takes damage too and starts coughing. A sword flies into Amu's hand, and she casually catches it, commenting that if the blade had been real, who knows what would have happened. But Selpu's weapon is just a cheap brittle training sword. Amu basically sees it as a toy. She mocks Selpu, saying swordsmen are useless without weapons. Tsu realizes she's off her game, and Amu moves in to finish her. But suddenly, Nomu appears and blocks Amu's attack, protecting Tsu. That really ticks Amu off. She screams so loud the whole school hears her. This leads to a flashback. Amu and Nomu are talking, and Nomu tells her she's so pretty he wants to kiss her. Amu laughs and challenges him to try, saying no one's ever succeeded. He cheekily tries to sneak a kiss but fails, and she pushes him away. He jokes about needing more practice and offers her a strange proposal, saying if they keep talking, maybe he'll let his tongue go wild. Amu laughs again, and they shake hands. She tells him she's happy to have him as a friend and welcomes him to the school. In another memory, a different girl thanks Nomu for saving her and offers to give him a school tour. But when Amu sees this, she barges in and insists on giving Nomu the tour herself. The other girl nervously agrees to go together, but Nomu kindly turns her down, saying he already has plans. Out of nowhere, Amu punches the girl unconscious and warns Nomu to only hang out with people she approves of. Nomu, clearly shocked, punches Amu in anger. Back in the present, Nomu hits Amu again with the same strength, remembering how she treated that girl. But Amu hits him back harder with her auto counter, knocking him down. Even Nomu is surprised at her strength. Nomu gets up coughing and reveals he's been keeping a manga hidden under his shirt like armor. With the power of anime and manga, he somehow manages to beat Amu. This time she stays fully clothed, which oddly disappoints her. Amu says she's changed, but Nomu says no, she still knows him better than anyone. Tsu, watching all this, asks him what he was even thinking. She says she won't cut him down when he comes back, surprising everyone. Nomu admits he didn't think too much, he just wanted to protect her. Tsu asks if that means he wants to be her friend, since he helped her even though they weren't close. Tsu tells Nomu she has the right to choose her own friends and doubts someone like him is even worth being one. Nomu bluntly replies that he doesn't want to be her friend either. He just moved her because she was in the way. He says friendship isn't something you ask for, it's something that happens over time, even between people who hate each other at first. But sometimes, no matter how much you want it, it just doesn't work out. Amu gets mad, clenching her fists. She reminds him that they were once good friends, but Nomu says that was a mistake. He can't stand how she acts. He says he gave her freedom, but she used it to ruin everything and make people miserable. They stand for completely different things. Amu, hurt, grabs her chest and says he has to die now. Nomu starts thinking hard. Regular attacks don't work on Amu, and his magic bullet only worked once before. If he fails now, she'll activate her auto counter and he won't survive. Worse, she might go after everyone else. Renda notices he's shaking, not with confidence but fear. She wants to encourage him the way he once encouraged her. Then they notice a star-shaped scar on Amu's chest. Rin realizes Amu's body is like steel. Normal hits won't work. Mary jumps in and explains that if you control your muscles right, the human body can be as hard as concrete. Basically, Amu has weaponized her own body, but Rin believes it's building up. If they keep pushing her, Nomu's magic bullet might break through again. Tusu starts thinking, maybe this is what it means to be friends. These girls used to hate Nomu, but now they believe in him. Nomu takes a stance, something based on Jegan School's dragonfly position, keeping his body low and guarded. He's clearly planned this out, specifically to fight Amu. Amu smiles wickedly and tells him to hurry up and attack, or she'll go flirt with the other girls to mess with him. That sets him off, and he charges in. But she spins into a defensive move that throws him off. He tries to distract her with a falling leaf, but she's not fooled. Amu takes off his coat mid-fight and says she'll end him, but Susu jumps in to defend him. Su sighs and tells Nomu that he's afraid, and it shows. She says his half-hearted punches and hesitation come from fear, especially of that first fight that almost killed him. She says even throwing away his manga armor just made things worse. Then she tells him a plan. Something Omu said earlier holds the key to beating her. Nomu gets it now. He thanks the girls, saying he'll take out everything he's feeling on Amu. It starts raining, and he reflects that he thought strength meant having nothing to lose. But now, after everything he's learned at this academy, he knows better. Meanwhile, Amu stands in the rain, heartbroken. She knows she still wants him. Her past was gray and empty, but he brought color into her world. Even so, if she can't have him, she'll kill him herself. She's jealous of all the girls getting close to Nomu, and it's driving her crazy. She even sits in front of a Buddha statue, blaming Nomu for all the pain she's feeling. She pushes the statue down, saying this pain is something she's never felt before. It broke her body and mind. But still, she tells herself to keep going. If she can't have Nomu, then no one else should. Back in the present, it's raining, and Ammo asks Nomu what he plans to do. He smiles and says he's just doing what she once said, coming to her like a beast. 2. Another character narrates that Nomu is using a super fast fighting technique from the Jigen school. It's flashy at first but loses its edge once the opponent sees it, a few times. Nomu even exposes his own weak spots on purpose, trying to throw Ammo off. There's this strange trick too. Bare skin seems to resist magic bullets more than clothes. Amu attacks first, then Nomu hits back hard. Amu is breathing heavily and is shocked that Nomu still has magic bullets left. Even after getting hit, she's somehow still standing, which surprises everyone. Nomu admits he's not done. He's going all out now. They throw punches at each other like crazy, fighting without holding back. Up on a rooftop, Yukino is watching and telling Koharu about what's happening over the phone. Koharu is surprised and says she'll take care of things, reminding Yukino that students are supposed to study. As the fight continues, Zusa is confused. She doesn't get why Nomu and Amu are hitting each other so hard and still smiling. Is this what friendship looks like? It hurts just watching, but for Amu, this pain is what she's been craving. It makes her forget her emotional hurt. She gets up and tells Nomu to keep looking at her and hitting her. They keep clashing. At one point, Nomu hits her with another magic bullet, but Amu counters it automatically, hurting them both. When he falls, she catches him. Turns out she wasn't using her auto counter earlier on purpose. She wanted to fight his way. Nomu gets up again, and Amu pushes him to give it his best. She knows he's not fighting to win, but to express who he is, and now she finally understands that. But the truth is, she says, the loser in love is the one who falls first, and she already did. Nomu tells her it's over, but she confesses her love and says this is his last chance to be with her. He refuses, and Amu falls to the ground. Tsuo steps in, ready to fight Nomu too. She says they're not meant to be friends, but offers to be his mentor instead. Everyone is shocked when she gives him stamps like it's a reward, but Nomu isn't the kind to just accept that. Just then, masked girls attack Amu, but Yukino, the headmistress, stops them and tells everyone to leave, except Nomu. She tells him he's expelled. Later that night, Nomu tells Kusuo he's okay with it. Kusuo is shocked, but Nomu says it's fine. At least now he won't be woken up by Rimmer's yelling anymore. While the girls are chilling in the dorm, Nomu shows up to say his goodbyes. Warby's mad, realizing the rumor about his expulsion was true. Nomu tells her to get well soon and moves on. He finds Satori, who's unsure how to react and ends up making a sour face. They exchange a few words, and he leaves. Meanwhile, Rin and Mary are trying to convince the principal to reverse her decision, but she's not budging. Nomu's expulsion still stands. Outside the school, Sue is waiting for Nomu, which surprises him. She reminds him he never gave her an answer about training with her. He turns her down, saying it's obvious why he can't, but she hits him with a bombshell. Amu's already left for the airport. Shocked, Nomu tries to leave, but Sue tells him he technically isn't expelled until the paperwork is done. She gives him a pass and tells him to go stop Amu. He catches Amu just in time. When he asks why she's leaving, she says she's just doing what she wants, and so should he. Before leaving, she kisses him, throws him down and claims him as hers, saying it's been that way since they met. Nomu's totally confused. Later, he meets Rin at a bus stop. She asks about Amu, and he says they're good now. Mary joins, annoyed Rin almost left her behind. Turns out, the headmistress was joking about the expulsion, but Nomu is now their responsibility. Rin asks if he'll stay. He laughs and says no, but everyone welcomes him anyway. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.